All right, so let's dive into some of the stuff you sent over about website analytics and heat map tools. We're going to look at this post from blogwidow.com. They're calling it like the simple website analytics and heat map tools for 2025. So there's a lot here, but we'll pull out some of the highlights.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway is this idea that you really need to understand what your visitors are doing on your site. It's not enough to just see, how much traffic you're getting. You've got to dig deeper and figure out what's working, what's not, and why.
So it's not just about numbers, it's about actually like understanding user behavior.
Exactly. It's about figuring out what makes your visitors tick, what frustrates them, and what keeps them coming back for more.
I like that. What makes your visitors tick? So let's talk about some of the specific tools that the Blog Widow post highlighted. They start with, obviously, the big one, Google Analytics 4, GA4. And I have to admit, every time I hear Google Analytics, I kind of get like a little, overwhelmed.
Yeah, GA4 is definitely a powerful platform, but don't let that scare you. Even if you just focus on the basic features, you can still get a ton of valuable insights.
And of course, it's free, which is always a plus.
Absolutely. That's one of the best things about it. You get access to all this amazing data without having to spend a dime.
So GA4 can give you a really good overview of your website traffic. But what if you want to actually see how people are interacting with your site? That's where these heat map tools come in, right? Like Hotjar.
Yeah, Hotjar is really cool because it gives you these visual representations of user behavior. You can see things like where people are clicking, how far they're scrolling, and even where their mouse is moving.
It's like you're watching a recording of your website visitors in action.
Exactly. And Hotjar lets you record actual user sessions, so you can literally see how people are navigating your site, where they're hesitating, where they're getting stuck.
And that's got to be like incredibly valuable, especially if you're trying to improve your website's user experience.
It's a game changer for sure.
Okay, so we've got Google Analytics for like the big picture data,
Yeah.
and we've got Hotjar for seeing how people are interacting with your site. But the Blog Widow post also talks about this tool called Crazy Egg.
Crazy Egg is another great heat map tool, but it also has this really cool feature called A/B testing.
So you can actually test out different versions of your website and see which one performs better.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's say you're not sure which headline to use for your homepage. With Crazy Egg, you can show each headline to a different group of visitors and see which one gets more clicks.
So you're not just guessing, you're actually letting the data guide your decisions.
Right. It takes the guesswork out of website optimization.
Cool. So Crazy Egg is all about experimentation and finding what works best. Now, Mouseflow, that was another tool they talked about.
Yeah, Mouseflow is really interesting because it lets you watch user sessions in real time.
So it's like you can literally see what someone is doing on your website right now.
You got it. It's like having X-ray vision into user behavior. You can see exactly what's grabbing their attention, what's confusing them, and where they're getting frustrated.
That would be amazing for troubleshooting any UX issues on your website.
It's an incredibly powerful tool for understanding how people are really experiencing your site.
So far, we've got tools for overall data, heat maps, A/B testing, and real-time user sessions. Let's see. What else did the Blog Widow post mention? Oh, yeah, Matomo.
So Matomo is kind of different from the other tools we've talked about. It's an open source platform, which means you have a lot more control over your data.
So for people who are really concerned about privacy, Matomo would be a good option.
Exactly. You can even host it on your own servers if you want maximum security.
Okay, so we've got Google Analytics, Hotjar, Crazy Egg, Mouseflow, and Matomo. Was there anything else in the Blog Widow post?
Oh, they also mentioned Microsoft Clarity.
Microsoft Clarity, what's that one all about?
It's another heat map tool, and it's actually really good. It's free to use, and it's super user-friendly, so it's a great option for beginners.
Free is always good.
Right. You really can't beat that.
So Clarity is another one to add to the list. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground already. It's amazing how many different tools are out there.
I know, it can be kind of overwhelming.
But I think it's great that there's so much variety, because it means there's a tool out there for every need and every budget.
Exactly. No matter what your goals are, there's a tool that can help you achieve them. It's really amazing to think about how much these tools have changed, even in the last few years.
Yeah, I remember when website analytics was all about like page views and bounce rates, but now we're talking about understanding, the why behind those numbers. It's like, what are people actually trying to do on your site?
It's like the difference between, looking at a map and actually walking the streets. The map gives you the overview, but actually being there, that's how you discover the hidden gems.
Right. And speaking of understanding, like the Blog Widow post really emphasized this idea of understanding user intent. So it's not just about knowing that someone clicked a button, it's about knowing why they clicked it.
Exactly. Like, let's say you have a button on your website that says learn more. Are people clicking it because they actually want more information? Or are they clicking it because they can't find what they're looking for?
Oh, that's a good point. So the same action could mean completely different things, depending on the context.
Absolutely. And once you understand that intent, you can make much more informed decisions about how to improve your website.
It's like being a detective, but instead of solving crimes, you're solving, like, website puzzles.
Haha, yeah, I like that. And the more clues you gather from these tools, the better you get at solving those puzzles.
Now, the Blog Widow post also mentioned that even with all these amazing tools, a lot of people still struggle with website analytics. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think part of it is just that it could be really overwhelming. There's so much data available. It's easy to get lost in the numbers and not know where to start.
I can see that.
It's like going to an all-you-can-eat buffet and not knowing what to put on your plate.
Yeah, totally. You just want to try everything.
Right. But the key is to start small. Pick one or two metrics that are really important to you and focus on understanding those first.
So you're saying, like, don't try to eat the whole buffet at once.
Exactly. Pick your favorite dishes and savor those.
And then once you've, mastered those, you can move on to other things.
Exactly. And remember, the tools themselves are just a starting point. The real magic happens when you take those insights and translate them into action.
Right, like it's not enough to just know that people are bouncing off your homepage.
Yeah.
You need to figure out why they're bouncing and then do something about it.
Yeah, it's all about that iterative process. You make a change, you track the results, you see what works, and then you adjust your approach.
Yeah. It's a constant cycle of learning and improvement. With all this talk about data and numbers, it's easy to forget that we're actually talking about people.
Oh, that's such an important point. Website analytics and heat maps. They're not just about optimizing websites. They're about understanding human behavior. Like what makes people click, what makes them scroll, what makes them buy or leave.
It's like we're getting a little glimpse into the minds of our visitors.
Exactly. And that understanding is what allows us to create websites that are more human-centered.
So it's not just about technology, it's about using technology to connect with people.
I love that. It's about using technology to create a better experience for everyone.
Now, the Blog Widow post also talked about some of the future trends in website analytics. What are some of the things that they see on the horizon?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm always curious about what's coming next.
Well, they talked a lot about artificial intelligence, like how AI is going to become more and more integrated into these tools.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. AI is already changing so many industries, and I can definitely see how it could have a huge impact on website analytics.
They were saying, imagine having an AI assistant that can analyze your website traffic and identify patterns that you might not even notice.
Yeah, and it could even suggest improvements based on what it learns.
That would be amazing. And they also talked about personalization.
Like how personalization is going to become even more sophisticated.
Yeah, imagine a website that adapts to each visitor's preferences in real time.
That's the future of web design.
It sounds kind of creepy and amazing at the same time.
Well, it's all about finding the right balance. Personalization should be used to enhance the user experience, not to manipulate or exploit visitors.
And of course, with all this data collection comes the responsibility of protecting user privacy.
Absolutely. That's something we can't afford to overlook.
As these tools get more and more powerful, it's more important than ever to use them ethically and responsibly.
Yeah, we have a responsibility to our visitors to be transparent and to protect their data.
The Blog Widow post really stressed that, making sure people know what data is being collected, how it's being used.
And giving them the option to opt out if they're not comfortable with it.
Exactly. Data privacy is a fundamental right.
And it's something that we need to take seriously.
It's good to see that this conversation about ethics is becoming more prominent in the world of website analytics. It shows that the industry is maturing.
Yeah, it's a sign that we're starting to think about the bigger picture.
And the long-term implications of how we use data.
It's a reminder that behind all these numbers and charts, there are real people whose lives are being impacted by the decisions that we make. It's kind of crazy to think back to when we just had those little hit counters on websites.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That was the extent of our analytics.
Now we're talking AI and personalized experiences.
Because website analytics has gone from, black and white to full-blown Technicolor.
And the thing is, it's not just for the big companies anymore. All these tools are becoming so much more accessible to Anybody, really.
Right. Even if you're just a small business owner, you can use these tools to understand like what your audience wants and make your website work better.
Exactly. It's all about leveling the playing field and giving everyone the opportunity to make smarter decisions.
And speaking of smarter decisions,
Yeah.
we've got to think about the ethics of all this. Like we're collecting so much data these days.
Oh, for sure. It's not just about what we can do with the data. It's about what we should do.
We have a responsibility to our website visitors to be transparent and protect their privacy.
Absolutely.
The Blog Widow post had some good advice on that. Like they really emphasized the importance of informed consent
Yeah, making sure people know what data is being collected and how it's being used.
and giving them the option to, opt out if they want to.
Exactly. Data privacy is so important,
It really is.
and it's something that we need to take very seriously.
You know, it's encouraging to see that the industry is starting to have this conversation about ethics
Yeah, it's a sign that we're growing up as an industry. We're starting to think about the bigger picture.
and the impact of our decisions on real people.
Right. It's a good reminder that behind all the numbers and charts, there are actual human beings.
Well said. I think this deep dive has given us a lot to think about. We've gone from the specifics of different tools to the broader questions of, ethics and responsibility.
And hopefully you're feeling like you can take this information and use it to improve your own website.
Whether you're just starting out or you're already a pro, there's always something new to learn.
Exactly. So keep experimenting and keep asking those questions.
And most importantly, remember to use this knowledge wisely and ethically.
Right. We're all in this together, creating a better web for everyone.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into website analytics and heat map tools. Until next time, happy analyzing.